Alright, good day, folks. Made a quick little drawing. Um, I finished up today. I've been sitting in my sketchbook for a long time. I just decided to color it in and write in all the write in all the speech bubbles and make it a make it a full artistic work. Simple as it is, I think there's a lot that can be conveyed here, and it's just what you run into. The people with all the garish, loud clothing and crazy accessories usually are the ones that aren't great, and the people that are relatively simple in nature, um, not meaning they're simpletons, but they don't feel the need to go over the top with their regalia, their look. They are the ones that you can have more faith in because it's their word. They're simple. They're easy to understand. They're not so convoluted and complex. And anyways, so here you have, you know, Captain Everywhere, person, most common of the four types of people we see out here, right here. Pudgy, it's just a woman on T, little beard there, no other hair on the rest of their body. And then, like, I jokingly gave them hooves. I don't really know. Maybe they do have hooves. They got the orange pants. They got the Under Armour logo. They got the watch. The little joke with the crab claws. But yeah, it feels like that. And then, yeah, they got the little cowboy hat because that's what they are. So it says Mars planet, Corona, war, Israel, communist, Nazis, Ukraine, Trump. Oh, don't forget to curse Christ and push atheism. So all of these words I'm saying, like, this is just like someone that's, this example is obvious, it's exaggerated. No one's ever just listed off all the nonsensical things that are always that are literally just baiting topics, because they're either them usually having a little giggle, like, oh, look at this person who's not in our little thing. Let's just, you know, play Fantasyland with them and see how far it goes. You have to cut it right there. You don't, in the past, in my life, I've, let's see, like these right here. The Ukraine thing, I remember this was 3, maybe 4 years ago when I mean, like 3 years ago, when I was gardening for this uber wealthy family. I mean, who really knows, in Connecticut. I'll make a video on that guy soon. It's ridiculous. The lawyer. Ugh. Um, he he would always like he would often be leaving, going to not do work, sit at the top of his lawyer tower, his law firm, whatever, where he had his two bimbo strats underneath him and his bimbo like wife, and they would all put on their little. It is just awkward. I said this before. Only Swire have ever been extremely flirtatious with me, and it's because I know at heart, hey, I can convince a real man that I'm a hot, sexy, ugh, thing. Even his wife, who's like probably 60 something now, was like in like tight short shorts, just gross. So it's a dude with all the makeup and just probably a reptile or some sort of corrupted individual underneath. But back on point, this guy with his status and all the supposed money and whatnot, he would come down the drive, and I'd be like, I don't know, mulching a tree or pruning a, what was it down there? It was the magnolias and such. And I remember this one time he really caught me off guard because cars nowadays are pretty quiet in a lot of electrical vehicles, and even the gas vehicles. It seems like nowadays they're much more quiet than they used to be. They don't have the same chugga chugga chugga. You don't hear them a mile away. um, he came up to me and he's like, "Oh man, you hear about Ukraine?" And I'm like, "Oh, I haven't really, I don't really watch the news. I don't really know what's going on." And he's like, "Oh, there's oh, there's so much going on over there, and all these people are having to evacuate." It's just the most like basic stuff just to like keep it in my mind. And I'm like, oh well, I think I responded with like, oh well, I'll pray for them or something. Like hopefully they're okay, and this is a short-lived, you know, hellish experience for them. And he just like gave me his, Joker smile, and then drove off to his, fake job. So I think a lot of lawyers basically have fake jobs. It's a very easy arena for them to throw in these Mason characters and just give them bullshit cases and demand a lot of money. And it's just such a, the legal system is corrupt inherently. I don't even like, if people are all following Christ in this truth of just the truth, then you wouldn't need all this convolution, and it's completely Masonic. The whole legal system is just fake and messed up, and you hear it played off all the time, and you hear, I've heard it from Bafos since day one, that many lawyers are slimy and gross, and they are, and it's beyond that. I mean, there's a lot there's a lot more slimy people out there than just lawyers, but they are of the slimiest ilk. Doctors come up there too, because they're the ones that are uber wealthy, and they think that they're godlike because they have silver sword tongues and they can say 4-syllable, 5-syllable words, and think that you don't know them, or that you're somehow some peasant, and they are this amazing, finely tuned, god-like being, deity, when in reality they're just an ugly, lying, wretched, probably hate themselves deep down because they have stock, they have this false impression of themselves, and deep down their heart knows, because they have the choices. They cannot act like this. They have the choices. They have free will. Their heart knows that everything's awry, and that the outward response to that is just to yell at people, or not necessarily yell, but basically spew BS and keep people down, brag about themselves, and just create this disgusting rift because they're better than you, and always make little jokes. There's something about just like joking about everything that, like, certain people in my life, this is kind of turning into a Ramble video, so I have a lot to talk about. Certain people in my life, it's like their whole life is a joke. They're just like always cracking jokes, and a lot of them are like, the ones I'm really speaking of are the ones that do it at the expense of others. Like my uncle growing up, not my uncle, really. I mean, but because I don't have a biological relation to my family, I believe. But yeah, like he got divorced from my mom's sister, both Swire, and he was just like, my my mom even said this, not my mom, right? That, and echoed what I had already known, was that like he would talk crap about anybody, like anybody around, and if they were leaving the room, like say some nonsense about them, just to make them like feel it as they left. Like, oh, you know, look at Jeff go. Oh, you can see his crack on the way out, or just like something to make them feel a little bit like off kilter, and like it was a slight dig. And there's so many people that are like this. This one like loved Austin Powers and would play it for his friends and laugh at all the stupid jokes. And I don't even want to touch that movie. It's so gross. But yeah, I was around in my youth, that's for sure. But yeah, this is what they do. They feed you the first, like, what, all that stuff at the beginning. It's it's what leads to the whole atheist thing. If you're in that mentality of how crazy things are, the way they want you to think about it, then you're gonna consider atheism, because you're like, there's no way God would like allow this. This is ridiculous. And the reality is God does allow it so that he can figure out, or you don't necessarily have to gender God, but so that, yeah, I'll just say he can figure out who really can see through the mirage of the Babylon? And it really isn't that complicated. It's a big help to read the Bible and see through these things. But I do think that the truth is written internally, and I don't think there is a very good version of the Bible, to be honest. I've talked about this before. I think that there's a lot of good truths in there, but you really have to dig to find the great stuff. I mean, I talked about Psalms being a great section. Everyone, I mean, that's a very commonly understood, fantastic section of the Bible. Job, Hebrews. Um, I mean, I mention this stuff pretty often. Obviously, Jesus's words are most important. So, yeah, John and Matthew, very important. Um, and yeah, I mean, you can get a little bit deeper in looking into Mark and Luke, and there's a lot of good stuff I think littered throughout, but it's written within. And what I found reading the Bible was so much of it, I was like, this is just nonsense. Like, I don't care about all the begats. That's really unimportant to me. Like, it, it's just a name. It's really not important. People that care so much about like their bloodline and all, it's just like that's a tranny thing. That's a tear thing. There's no way that's like God, or there's no way. I mean, if it's blood of Cain, blood of the good, sure. There's that like clear division, but beyond that, like there's not doesn't matter. Like you're my brother if you're being truthful. That's it. It's like it's a hard line. It's just it has nothing to do with blood. It's just if you're being truthful and you're seeking out the truth and you're not you can talk about these things and really get to the center of them. Like it doesn't take long to debunk things like planets and fake war, and it doesn't take long. They don't make it that difficult. This world is so theatrical and ridiculous that these things are easy to see. And then the pushing of atheism. It's the ultimate. Oh, my brain is more important than anything else, and I value my intellect over everything. And I'm special. I have like something that's unique, and I'm not connected to anybody else. I'm in my own little world, and that's just the way it is. And there's an argument to be made there. I think that in truth, in some ways, we definitely are in our own worlds. But we engage with the world, and if we get stuck in our own worlds too often, then we're not going to be very good at engaging with it. I used to listen to RFTK Ohio podcasts while I was gardening, and it as much as I loved the content, um, not podcast, but his videos, and as much as I loved the content, I found that it took away from me being present where I was. I wasn't listening to the birds. I wasn't, when people would, interact with me, sometimes, this wasn't all the time, but sometimes I would just give them pretty simplistic responses so I could get back to, oh, this is a genuine human being. I don't have to deal with some phony right now. Some phony who is just gonna, you know, talk about chimpanzees one minute and Ukraine the next, and just they're like robots. They're literally robots. And then you can do things and kind of mess with their programming and say stuff like this. Good on the bread and circus is caballero. So if people don't know, caballero means cowboy in Spanish. You need an update on your OS. You need an update on your OS. How is pregnancy treating you? Because this is what so many free Martins look like. And I don't think I'll ever get to that point. Maybe I'll get to that point where I'm just like blatantly, I can tell you're pregnant and I'm gonna go for it. But yeah, I think that the first part is fine. Good on the bread and circuses. You can say stuff like that. Like you don't have to just like. I think it's such a thing to like let things flow smoothly. Like just like let the like don't like cause a rift or don't be confrontational or anything. But it's not confrontational to just say casually, "I'm good on the bread and circuses." It might surprise them if you have like a calm tone when they're like saying all this crazy stuff to you that they expect you to have an opinion on, so that they can chuckle later to their silly friends or their liar, devil friends, uh, that, oh, look at this, this peasant, and how stupid they are, and how I can make fun of them, and they have no idea what's going on. And I have this story about this. So when I was living at my last place, there was this guy that he just took like an extra liking to me. He was in the next apartment to ours originally, and then we got essentially sent down to the basement. Like we had no say. The evil landlady, if you want to call her that we had, just pure evil. Uh, she's like, "Oh, we have these people moving in, and we want to show them like your apartment. Do you guys mind like moving to the basement?" And we're like, "Oh, actually, like we're fine here. We're great." But she's like, "Really consider it. Like I won't charge you anything extra. It's a nice little unit. You'll be like closer to." She like made all these little accommodation things, and it was just they're BS. And then ultimately, we were both just like my partner and I were just like, "All right, whatever. Like, sure." And maybe we should have been more firm about it, but I don't think it mattered either way. That apartment building was disgusting and full of mold, and it didn't really matter where we were. But this guy, he stayed there for pretty much the duration that we were there. He left a little bit before we went, and it's just he's just gross. He just seemed vampiric. Clearly gave birth to his quote unquote daughter, Swire daughter. Had a like constant pudge, looked bald, like near bald everywhere. Had like a little beard and tiny little goatee beard. Um, and one day it was on like it was so random because normally he'd like come out as I came home. Like I would come home, I would be working all day. I'd be gardening and it'd be like an 8 hour, 10 hour day, and I'd come home pretty exhausted, and he'd come out and be like want to chat me up for like half an hour, whatever. And me being who I am, I'm very talkative with like one on one. I don't do as well with groups of people, but one on one, maybe a couple people, I can really keep it going. I like talking with people and keeping things, um, I don't know, interesting and of the world that we're in, and not about like TV shows or news or just stuff I don't care, stuff that's stupid, doesn't it's not relevant. Um, and he's like, "Oh man, I was just looking at the news, and there's all this amazing stuff going on, and like we're going to Mars, and it's just amazing that people can believe in this flat Earth stuff." And I'm like, "Well, it's in the Bible. It's not like I like literally responded like instantaneously, like it's not that far fetched. It's in the Bible, and I believe in it." And then he just like dips, like he never did this before or after. He dips, leaves, just like goes back into the house without saying another word. Like it was not the response he expected. He expected me to just go along with it and be an idiot, and I didn't. I was like, nah, there is legitimate reason to feel that the Earth is not a spinning ball. I talked about this before. I don't think flat Earth in and of itself is a sufficient explanation. It just seems like it's just like a term. But you'll notice that there's a lot of areas that they put a lot of emphasis on. I think obviously diet is very important. I think of all the vegan shill channels that are out there. Like, what is it? Like, oh my god, these people are so annoying. Um, Freely, or whatever, the banana person. And then who is the Australian? Ugh, what's that guy's name? He's so ugh. Oh, Durian Rider. Oh my god. So these people, they're just obviously teas and shills. Like I think they basically like will wear like I'm vegan. Like the guy that the Durian Rider, he like goes cycling, and like his entire outfit will just say vegan on it. And I'm like, this is the most annoying person. This is why people hate vegan people. This is why people hate the idea because there's just these idiots out here that pollute it so hard. And I don't even think they are themselves. There's this other one that was it the Truth Channel, as above, so below. I, I think it's Antidote for Maya now. She did a one on this Elise character, and I had seen her years ago through my ex, who's a T, and was interested in all these stupid vegan YouTubers. I shouldn't say stupid, but just baiting and annoying YouTubers. And she goes on a 30-day just meat, nothing else diet. And you're like, that's not even possible. You would be constipated. You have to have And that's just, it tells you so much about like the obvious, like if you're gonna be healthy, eat fruit. Just, it's the simplest food. They even tell you in the Bible the fruit of the tree is for, it's so obvious. But I'm getting a little bit off tangent. It's just, it sucks to be around these people that are annoying, and like they sticker. This RFTK High has talked about the flat Earth shills before. It's the same idea. They make it seem like stupid and like a little fling, and it's because they're all in a little club and they know the things that we're going to be, questioning and thinking about, and they want to be there as the gatekeepers on every, on every big topic, so that if you're not thinking for yourself, then you're you have all this giant mass of people that are saying pretty much the same wrong thing, or doing it in an annoying way in the case of like the veganism thing, so that it feels like a just something that you would try and not a genuine super healthy diet. That in my life, I know it's helped a lot. I hated eating animals. I think it's disgusting. I don't think we're supposed to eat animals. I've talked about this before. Sheeps and wolves. If you're a sheep, you don't eat an animal. If you're, it's like, just look at mammals. Look at the way they are. You don't have giant canines. I can go on and on about that all day. I don't get that. It doesn't make sense to me. Jesus Christ would have to be the most conscientious, kind person. Jesus doesn't harm anybody. So there you go. It extends to animals. We are animals. You want to make yourself special? The evil Christian, the fake Christians, they make it all about people. It's all about, it's just people is all that matters. And it's because they're fake Christians. They're like literally limited. They're they're broken. They're literally stuck in their little T land fake world. And yeah, they make it about just people, when there's a whole world of creatures, or you could say better yet, like animals out there that we can communicate with and that can alleviate our pain. Like there's definitely, I know for a fact, pains and difficulties I've had that animals could better understand than people. And sometimes people are helpful, but other times people are selfish and in their own world, and I'm that way too. Like I get it. Like there are times my partner like has this really important thing she wants to talk about, and I'm just not there. Like it sucks, and I'm getting better at it, but it's still hard. Um, but something about this going on, like obviously this is an exaggerated response to this cowboy character. Um, but we don't have to respond to this, really. You don't have to. You can go even less than what I did and be like, meh, I don't really care, or I don't really pay attention to the news. You could say that. Like bread and circuses, like I said, you don't have to respond. Jesus didn't respond to baiting behavior multiple times in the Bible, because it's God. Like you can tell when they're just saying stuff to make you mad. Like I know when, like, I've had many instances where people are just talking about like death and gross stuff and war, and I'm just like, I don't want to be part of this conversation. I might show a little like disgust in my face, that maybe that's what they're looking for. I don't know. These people are weird. They're all backwards. But yeah, you don't really have to reply, or you can just be like, I don't care. Like it doesn't affect me. I've never seen it in my life. They just say stuff on TV. It's TV. You can just say that too. It's just TV. I don't, it's an idiot box. It's like totally valid opinion. Um, but what I've noticed overall is that these kind of people, they're just constant negative aura, and they'll only further that if we play nice or respond to their obvious BS. That's it. It sucks. You try to help them and get them on like the track of like what's going on in your life, instead of why do you have to talk about all this fake stuff all the time? What's going on in your life? What's going on in your immediate surroundings that's actually important, not this stuff that just tells me you see me as this like thing you hate, and all you're doing is just trying to pollute my mind. Like that's and it's like as I get older, it's man, I know there's good people out here, but I look around and I don't know. It's like boring. It's like so many people are they just don't, like, I don't have any interest in them. I'm just being sorry. Like, I have no interest in so many people. They just seem fake, and they're trying to get unnecessary attention, or like this guy, like this character, just be like a big shot when they're gross. Um, so yeah, I mean, the another instance I think I referenced on this channel, but I don't recall exactly, was last year I worked with the gardening crew, and they brought up this politician in our state. This, I was like, what's her name? It doesn't matter. It's probably gonna take away from it if I mention the name. But just like dresses like a whore and is gross, and it's just all a circus act to make you angry, the same way that people get angry at Trump or whatever. And it's like this person mentioning, it's just literally rage bait. It's just meant to make you be like, oh, how, no wonder everything's so bad and crazy, because they have these like people that are in there that just got in because it's a popularity contest. And it's like, yeah, but they also got selected, and beyond that, they're acting. They don't even have a job. They don't even do anything. They're not even helping anybody. They're literally just putting on this show that's disgusting and degrading and stupid at the center of it. The show is stupid. And that's a big thing too. Jesus says, don't call anybody dumb, don't call anybody stupid. You can say someone's being dumb. You can say someone's being stupid. I'm not calling them holistically dumb. That's the truth too. It's like there's different types of intelligences. Even if they're a quote unquote terror person, they're definitely going to have some intelligence in some facet of life. And you shouldn't dismiss anybody just because of how they look. And I've said that time and again. But it's also very important to note the signs, the symbols, the clothing, the things they talk about, and not being afraid to just speak your mind instead of, oh, let me just play nice. Because the playing nice is what puts you further down. Stop playing nice. Stop pretending. You gotta have, I mean, I don't know. Maybe you have really great resolve and you're already set. I doubt it though. Like I think we all have stuff to work on, and many of us are too nice. Or people are fakers and liars, and they need to stop doing that and genuinely repent and not act like once saved always saved. I've been a firm believer in the whole, that's nonsense. Like, you need to live a whole life well. You can f up on your last day, and then it's all for naught. You know, you really could. You could murder somebody on your last day. You could do something just dreadful, and that's all for naught. You're not once saved always saved. Most ludicrous Baphomet fake bullshit I've ever heard. Once saved always saved, and it's because they do the judge lest ye be judged kind of nonsense, where it's like, no, you can judge people based on how they act. You can completely. I mean, obviously there's certain things depending on the person that you are that you may have less judgment over. Like, one thing I've talked about before is I can judge alcohol because I don't drink alcohol. But because I've been addicted to things, I can't judge the addiction. I can judge alcohol though. I can judge what alcohol does to the body. I can judge all of that. It's disgusting and it's gross, and it's literally poison. There's a reason it's the well is beer in the Bible. There's a reason for all these things. There's a reason that the Essene Gospel and the Bible heavily, like, they go on and on about how you shouldn't be drinking. You shouldn't be drinking alcohol. It's just, you're not supposed to be celebrating this shitty world. You're not supposed to be glutton. It's gluttony, and alcohol is poison, and it makes you gross, and it's just red in the face and disgusting. And I still have to read that Eddie Dorpa fragment, just the perfect fragment of text to just get somebody off alcoholism. So good. I'll find that again. That book is, I don't know where it went. Somewhere in the ether. I used to have it. I enjoyed reading the book. I don't know if I'd enjoy it as much today. I'm sure there's some shitty programming in it, but that section where it talks about alcoholism towards the end of the novel just hits it so hard. So I'll read that to you guys one of these days. I'll find it. But they just, like, it's like the negative aura thing. Like, they're like, the people I worked with last year, 2 out of the 3 of them were just never happy. Like, just always complaining, never happy, always had some dog crap thing to say about the government, the environment, just the people that they were around. They framed life as if everybody was just like in it for themselves all the time, because they are. That's the irony of it. That's the irony of it. Is like these people. Oh, sorry, I'm in my. Oh, stop it! You stop it! You stupid. No, sorry. I hate a lot of the stuff that I've bought for my daughter. It's not even something I bought. I was given. Sorry, but I hate a lot of the stuff she has. I gotta be honest. There's some really shitty programming things that are in this house that I want to just burn. I'm probably going to someday. And we've already limited. We've already taken a lot of stuff out. We've taken the TV. TV's out. We have no TV in our house. We have laptops, which is basically the same thing. But TV is gone. It is in the closet and it sits there because it was doing damage to my daughter. And it's just, I grew up sit in front of the TV, Rugrats, fucking Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network garbage, and I don't want her eating up the same filth. And I mean, it's hard not to eat some of the filth. I gotta admit, it's hard not to eat some of it. There are, this is another topic I want to get on, is like some seemingly decent content out there that happens to have like a couple of triad claws in it and devil horns and stuff. Like in my opinion, there's just over evil cartoons like Dragon Ball Z, where it's like in space, there's like giant ape programming, like non-stop disgusting, bloody, gross violence, very vapid, like wooden characters that aren't relatable and it's like the only reason you watch that show is just for fighting and like just gross, disgusting behavior. It's disgusting. And then there's shows like, I don't know, like Little Bear that comes to mind, or there's one that's not newer per se, not newer at all, but just seems a lot healthier compared to most of the fare out there. The Moomins. It's a Finnish show. We have books. We have the books. And there are little things in it that I don't like, but the overall messages, the like bigger picture, is not that bad. It's like it's fun. It's interesting. It's a curious world. I mean, maybe you could argue that any fantasy is bad, but I disagree. I think that there is a place for imagination. I mean, I'm not like saying that you should, like the God says, like you shouldn't be living by your own imagination purely, but I think I don't know. There's a definite like stick in the mud. You don't have to act like that kind of behavior. You can, but you have to clearly delineate when you're talking about fantasy. You can't just wrap it into your more serious conversation. You can use fantasy as allegories for that's basically why I see as fantasy is the best. The great thing is you can create an amazing fantasy story, book, video, novel, movie, music, whatever that that explains genuine truth. So, but it's enticing. It's more engaging than say someone just talking to you. You have all these characters and the colors, and it's interesting and it's engaging. So, I think that in getting older and seeing things more more clearly as I get older, having a lower tolerance for BS and so forth. I will admit there are some books, shows, things like that that still, I mean, charm is probably not the right word, but they still seem endearing to me. And I can't deny that. I can't just go, oh, it's all evil and pure satanic. It's like, no, there's a lot of Satanism and evil in these things, but I can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. It's just like the same thing with the Bible. It's like there's good things in it. You can't throw the whole thing out just because it's meddled with. It's like you can't. Like there's too many good things in it that you have to consider and think about and let sit in your heart and let enliven your heart. Let them free you from the chains of this world, the psychological chains. And yeah, I think that art, fantasy, stuff like that can free your mind from that's what it's there for. It's somebody's, interpretation. Like the world is a very strange place. It's the fact that we've adjusted to it and been okay with all these lights and just the whole tranified world and all this stuff. It just shows you that people have this amazing ability to just get along with whatever they're thrown at. Like it's amazing. Like the fact that I've have my movement limited by paper money, and it's not even that now, digital money, and just all the fake work that people do to get tons of money, and how I feel like I'm doing, I don't know, a lot more than the average person, like, given the fact that the average person's a lying T. Um, it just shows, and then also beyond that, they get the friends, they get the entourage, they get the. It's just it's such a different world, and the least you can do is respond to them with your genuine self. Don't just smile and wave like they're not deserving of that. And so many of these people, especially free martins with me, there's a handful, of course, that don't seem evil and so forth, but so many of them, it's just braggadocio, talk about themselves the whole time, cannot give you any space to speak genuinely about your life. And if they do, they give you like a sentence and then they just turn it back to, it's just, I'm so sick of it. And I just don't bother with them. I don't even like, it's so often that I just figure it out myself. I figure things out myself, or I go to my partner and I talk to her about it, because I know that so many people out there are fake, and they're phony, and they only care about themselves. And it's sad, but you gotta be able to defend yourself. You can't just say, well, okay. You can't do that. It's just, you're so much more important than a liar. You as a truth teller, you as a genuine person looking to find, looking to help people, looking to make goats into sheep if that's possible, and looking to help other sheep, like hopefully someday being able to like remove demons from people just by talking to them and really figuring out where it came from and how to remove it through Christ and through just eating healthier and exercise and getting away from evil people and evil practices. I mean, we have so much capacity for growth, and you don't want to hinder it by not giving your full self and saying just okay, or oh, I just want this situation to go away, so I'm gonna smile and wave, or give them the emotion that they want to see and pretend, because then you're just as bad as them. It's the same thing. You're equally culpable. For instance, if someone's talking about Trump and you're like, oh man, like, yeah, he's really rough, and oh man, like like all the stuff he said, and blah, blah, blah. Instead of just he is a clown, I don't play with bread and circuses. That's how I genuinely feel. But in the past, I have said, oh, he's he says a lot of crazy things. Just it just says, but that's playing into it. It's like you're allowing their fake, phony, ridiculous world to breathe. It's That's the clear delineation I want to make. Is like the bad. This is like all evil fantasy right here. All this stuff that's in this little dialogue, this little speech bubble, all evil fantasy stuff. You do not want to contribute to anything along these lines. The communism is the ideal. Like, you want to be communist, you want to share with people. You don't like, why I don't want millions and millions of dollars and to be like, oh, look at what I've got all this like great stuff. And I think that's what Job is all about. It's telling you that Job had all these possessions and like he valued them, and then because he earned them or whatever, and then he loses them all, and then he's like, what, like God's cursed me, and he goes on these long rants about how God, that's a big message of that, is that it's not the valuables, it's not the treasures you lay up here on earth. They mean nothing. It's more about how you communicate and how you heal people. And usually these treasures, they get in the way of healing. They're like they're gaudy, and they prevent people from genuine communication. No one should own a yacht. It should be this collective shared thing. Oh, it's cool. We have this giant boat. Let's go out and, I don't know. I just don't agree with giant yachts in general. It just seems like it's disgusting. But like in the theory that we'd all share it, it's not like, oh, someone owns it. It's ridiculous that someone could own a giant ass boat like that. It's just ridiculous. But moving on, it's like these are insulated losers who truly hate themselves and feel it necessary to win conversations and be more interesting. That's it. It's like they don't even care about you. They don't. They're literally just trying to look good. Like it's the most vain, nonsensical thing. I know I'm ranting here, but this stuff is just always on my mind because it's everywhere. It's like, how do you, like, it's so common to come across phony baloney people that look gross and say grosser things, and they do it just to one up. There's just to look better, and it's obvious. It's obvious who's genuine and cares and is willing to communicate with you. It's very obvious, and it doesn't take a lot of testing the spirits. It's important, and it's frustrating that you always have to do it sometimes, but it's like the freedom. It's the freedom is that is the freedom, is the testing the spirits, because if you're testing the spirits effectively, you're not going to just go along with this. You're going to test the spirits effectively. You're going to I don't believe in war. Jesus said to be wary of that. The fake war, like people you hear about wars, like fake wars. I don't know. I don't. The Mars and planet Corona nonsense, the common cold. You can do your own studying on this stuff, and it's very easy to communicate about how this stuff is nonsensical. Well, they use CGI imagery, or computer generated imagery. They use CGI. They use fake things. They use artistic renditions. There's no genuine examples of any of this stuff that looks legitimate at all. And they're so invested in this, they're so deeply ingrained in it, that you saying any of that stuff is going to throw them so far off guard that they're going to have a response like the guy I referenced earlier with the flat earth thing. They're just going to leave, or short and then go. Like they can't handle it. They are liars. They're liars. They're vapid, and their endless shell games are hollow lunacy of endless complexity. That's a big factor too. It's not important to be complex. It's not important to have all the wise words. It's not important to sound highfalutin. I used to think it was. I remember thinking as a child, I hate my monosyllabic hell that I live in, because my family was like, they weren't well read, so they wouldn't go on with intellectual conversation. It was just boring. They didn't talk about the Bible at all. Zero. It was just very vapid celebrity, like whatever is popular / sports culture, and I hated it. I would throw away the People magazines, just throw them away whenever I saw them. I was so disgusted, and I did that at a young age. I was like, this is the most disgusting, like, worship of these phony people. I can't handle it. I can't, like, this place is so disgusting. Like, one thing I've been thinking about a lot lately is, not every grocery store at the front has the ugly tea celebrities doing whatever fake thing they're doing. Some of them will just literally have health stuff, and you don't have to read it, but if it's like flowers and food, and it's not, or like, geology, it's not just these fake phony actor people, then go to those stores. Stop going to the ones with the fake phony actors in the front. Your standard grocery store, like the most stupid one. Value your food more than your stupid cable package or whatever. Like, people don't value food. It's really sad. Like, I grew up with people that did not value food at all, and it's not uncommon. It's like the most common thing. People think that eating eggs is somehow good for you, and it's just like, wow, like, you are just so lost. Like, that is literally a breeding culture for parasites. That is like the thing they want most, is eggs and dairy. Like, I just don't get it. But alas, people need to figure these things out themselves, and they don't want to give up their obvious dietary mishaps. Like I've lived it. I ate eggs and bacon every day when I was young. I was dumb. I was dumb. Like it's dumb. There's no way that shit is healthy for you. It would upset my stomach, made me feel gross, it made me stink. Is because it's stinky. It's like these things are very straightforward. Plants will tell you what they will help based on their look. The food will tell you if it's good for you based on what it looks like and what it smells like and what you smell like from it and how animals respond to you when you eat it. Like it's very obvious. I don't want to be around some egg farting person. It's gross. And boy, oh boy, if there is this serious reptile underpinning to this world where they're the bulk and they're all reptiles, yeah, it makes sense that they push all this crap because that's what they need because they're reptiles. Reptiles steal eggs and eat them. Reptiles, in the theory, this is my theory too. Uh, the reason that dairy is such a big thing is not only to dumb down the populace, it is also to make them seem more human or mammal-like when they are actually not mammals. That's a theory. I don't know if that's true, but that's my theory on the overt dairy thing, like why it's in everything. They need dairy on their salad. They need dairy on everything, is because it's a cloaking mechanism. It makes them seem more mammalian if they're drinking mammal milk, right? It's probably a big secret, but whatever. Not that hard to discern for me. Came to that a while back and just haven't really spoken on it. But yeah, there's no reason you should be drinking baby fluid. If you're still drinking baby fluid, please stop. Like you're an adult, stop. It's ridiculous. And then something that I always think about with all this stuff is just always bring it back to how you care about the people you are close to or in your immediate surroundings. Like, okay, I think it's shallow to say like I just care about my family. Like that's shallow. Obviously because, it's like God first. But then it's like people that are in your immediate surroundings, like the random person that needs help walking or wants to like talk to you and you just need to like be there as an ear to hear them. Like an older person, you don't want to alienate an older person just because, you wear a certain thing. That's why I think it's so important to wear plain clothing, because you'll alienate people with graphic tees and you'll alienate yourself with that stuff. Like I still have graphic tees and I basically wear them to bed. I wear really plain clothing because I want to encourage like the important conversation. I'm not like I don't care about the news. I don't care about these cartoon characters or like wearing them or whatever. I will like occasionally watch a cartoon. I don't really watch them that often, but occasionally watch a cartoon or read a little fantasy book or because I find it interesting to look at other things besides the Bible. It's not like I just like so many I just don't get that. Like there's like this kind of attitude out there like that's it. This is all the answers, that's it. I'm like, no. Like it's internal. The truth is within, and the truth can be found in other things. There's truth in so many other things besides the Bible. The Bible just happens to have a lot of the deeper truths that are important to understand and ponder and meditate on. But it's also highly rigged and full of fake shit. So you shouldn't just spend all your days reading this obviously rigged book. Maybe you just get read words only. Maybe that's the way to go, because it's the best stuff. So might as well go for the best stuff. So yeah, like, and just I think this is innate with humans and people, and I don't like the word human, but with Dutch people, that anything beyond your like immediate world is irrational stress. Like, I mean, okay, learning about somebody going on a trip and what they did there, like that might be helpful, but like it's like so far beyond. It's like you can learn little things here and there. You can learn all sorts of cool things. You can expand your reality. You can go places. You can travel. You can do things. But I think that most people that are doing all this crazy traveling and like doing all this like above and beyond stuff, they're just not people. They're fake people. The fake people have this magic world, Hogwarts, and they get all the benefit. They get, material wealth and clubby VIP behavior. And it's like, I really, like, when I was younger, I remember, like, I would go on Facebook and be like, oh, so and so is traveling there and there and there, and I'm jealous. I'm real jealous. I really am. I'm jealous. Facebook sucks. I hate Facebook because, this is me being back then, because it makes me envious of all these people because they're all doing all this crazy stuff, and here I am. I get like a little trip here and there. Nowadays it's not, but back when I was young, and like, trip here and there, but not to like the extent of so many of these ridiculously wealthy people. And here I am jealous of it, and now I look at it, I'm just like, they're so gross. They're so fake. Who cares? Like, I don't care about their fake worlds and their fake job, and they're like clearly, um they're not like fulfilled in their fake world. So why do I don't care. And like, then deep down they don't care about you. And it's, why put up with that BS anymore? Delete your social media account. I still have a Facebook. I still have an Instagram. I don't know why. Gets stupider by the day. It's just, I see it as this place to make, put out stuff, put out your art, put out, I don't know. Maybe there's somebody that it brightens their day. That's why I don't put out. I mean, I have put out some truth stuff on my social media, but it's not for it. It's not, that's not what it's for. It's for, I guess, like finding like work, or finding, being in a group, or maybe, there's a lot of reasons that you go on that stuff. But when I'm on there, it's mostly just, it's gross. I don't even like it. And I don't think Jesus would ever have social media, obviously. Like, so if you want to be like Jesus, you want to do good and be truthful and be righteous, why would you have these fake nonsense systems that are just made to make you mad? You wouldn't. So, I mean, we are kind of, I am definitely circling the drain with this one, but it's just, this stuff is everyday type stuff that it's like, how do you turn the tide so quickly? How do you do it in a snap? Say stuff like this: I'm good on the bread and circuses. You're telling them right away, everything you're telling me is BS. Right away. And it's such a quick response to their BS, instead of just going along with it, that they're going to have to change. They're going to have to, maybe they'll just be quiet around you, and because they can't program you anymore. That's all they want to do is program people. um, well, this has been a bit of a ramble, and I I have more to say and a lot to talk about. Um, I the lawyer thing I mentioned earlier. That's like the next video, because it's so idiotic the way the court systems look, and how that is presented. The judge, and the higher ground of the judge, and just like, it's high up, and it's all Masonic nonsense. It's like, it basically just is like an iteration on the Masonic lodge is the court. And I think it's idiotic. And if you are trying to be a lawyer and you're not in this club, I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what you're doing. But I doubt that you can get into that if you're not in this club, or you just don't get to do serious. You get to do like really basic stuff. You don't get like the bigger cases, which, even like, what are the bigger cases? Aren't they just fake? I'm telling you, there's not a need for our court system at all. Like, I can point to the hospital and be like, there's some things there that probably benefit people, like when you're like in really dire circumstances or something. Someone breaks a leg or something, but even then, the way that looks is completely wrong, and it isn't right. It should be like, oh, there's animals there, and there's like, it's not this like germaphobe environment. That's not right. Like, that's just not right to have this cold germaphobe environment. It's just I can't stand it, and I feel bad for people that work in hospitals and have to live in that. It's just clearly not the healthy environment to live in. But I don't think there's many places you can work in today that are a healthy environment. To be honest, I think it's hard to find, and the way to find it is to work outside because that's duh. Like, why would you want to work inside? I don't get it. I don't get it. You're an animal. You're supposed to be out in the sun. You're not supposed to be in artificial lighting. I don't know. We grew up in a warped world. And I've got a lot to do to help myself and help people out of the mind games, the nonsense, and help them on the simpler, healthier path of speaking clearly, getting away from screens as much as you can. It's just a weird way to phrase it. Just get away from screens. Just limit them greatly. If you're going to be on your phone, use it as a tool like you would use a hammer for a nail when you need to. You're not going to use the hammer to do the drilling. You're not going to use the hammer to do I don't know, the plying work. No, you're going to use the hammer to hit the nails. That's about it. And to pull nails. And to, like, there's a couple, it's like people get into their cell phones so much. And I'll never forget the guest speaker, her saying that cell phones are just used for like scrolling. You can't really type on them. And it just makes people dumb. It's makes people stupider. Like I love writing. I love reading. I love reading a physical book. I don't like looking at my phone that much. Like occasionally you'll find a funny video, occasionally you'll find a cute video, occasionally you'll find, an interesting piece of work, and it's nice to just be able to pull up my phone and listen to RFTK Ohio or one of the few truthing people out there. But so many of them, I just, over the years spending time with them, I don't feel as connected to them because I'm like, you continue to talk about new stuff all the time. Like it's just like boring. Like I don't care. I've never cared about the news. I don't care about the news. Why do you have to talk about the news all the time? Oh, because you're probably a shill. Like how few people there are out there that they'll give you anecdotes. They'll talk about their lives. I mean, it's genuine. It's just amazing. How do people live with all these masks? And then it's just the reality is they're narcissists. The reality is they're in a club. The reality is they value VIP stuff. They value the way this world runs. And when you don't, it is alien to them and they're confused. And good, because they should be confused. They should consider the things that we're saying and be better and stop being a clubby loser and just pull out of it. Be strong. Not one of the worst was it aphorisms, phrases that you hear all the time that I hear. Oh, is if you can't beat them, join them. That is Baphomet programming 101. That is just as bad as fake it till you make it. That is equally as bad. If you can't beat them, join them. The crowd is evil. It just is. The herd is evil. Because either they're duped or they're chuckling along, and both of them are bad. And it's not complex to explain these various things and how easy it is to pull out of it. It really isn't. But certain people, they're just very reluctant, and they like the fake stuff. They love artifice, and it's like I find myself just like I don't even like digital art that much. I really don't. I think of that as more. It's just more artificial than pencil and paper, and like I never do. I've done like a handful of digital art stuff. It just it doesn't. I don't feel anything. If I draw or paint a picture, I feel things. I feel emotions. If I digify something, it's like I'm just like, oh, okay, I made this image. Like I don't care about it. So I don't know. This is a complete ramble, and I'll come back with a more concentrated topic next time. I'm just annoyed with people like this, these crab orange people. I'm just annoyed by them. I think they're gross, and I don't deal with them. Don't deal with play pretenders and their chemtrailing nonsense. And be strong. Quick, snap. Like, be right on the bullshit. Don't go along with it. Don't be like, don't give him a smile, even. Look at him sternly. Look at him seriously and be like, I don't do that. I don't care about the news. I care about my family. That stuff's fake. I'm excited to say that next time to somebody. I'm really excited. There's somebody in my life that I see pretty regularly. And when she brings up that stuff, I want to be straight up and honest with her and be like, I don't pay attention to that stuff. Bread and circuses. And I'm like, ooh, I'm excited for that because I can just tell the kind of, what? Oh my Lord, kind of interact. And I'm like, you're looking at fake stuff and you know it's fake. You're fake. We got to call them out, man. We got to shift the tide more. I got to shift the tide more in my life. We got to do it. I'm excited. I got so much energy and passion, and I got to let it out. And these freaks, they're just so full of and who cares? Let them be. I don't need to. I'm not. Let them be full of let them be actors. And let them get all crazy. I don't need to play along with them. Don't need to at all. Need to turn the tables. Need to completely change the paradigm, the balance, because they don't deserve to act like they're high and mighty because they know fake shit and you don't. It's literally that. It's like, oh, I know this fake stuff that you don't. And it's like, no, you don't. You don't know anything. That's fake stuff. Like, you shrug your shoulders at them, whatever. Man, oh man. All right, well, you guys, I hope you're doing all right. I hope you're doing well, and I hope that you're thinking that you're doing good stuff. You're like focusing on what's important and what you care about, what you're driven to, and where the truth is in your life, and how like the people that that you need to help and that are really important to you, and the ones that are liars and treat you like dog shit, and you need to give them space, and you don't need to hang out with them because they don't care about you, and there's no deeper friendship to be had because they won't have it. I mean, this situation, I'm the one trying to be a friend here. This is some just programming robot trying to put me in a bad space, throw devil horns, put me in a bad space. Probably probably planted there often. Just I have too many examples of that. It's good to be a real man. It's also shitty. I've talked about this to Snow Global I think we did it on the podcast. It's like we get the physical decency and the social hell. They get the social, they get to have friends and stuff, but they don't get they get physical hell. So I would much rather be in physical whatever I'm doing. I'm eating well, I get that. If I'm eating poorly, I get that. I'd rather be in physical choice or free will, whereas with social, it feels like I I talk to random people and my family's most important. It shouldn't be. I know God's most important, but in terms of my communication, it's my daughter and my wife, and everybody else is a million pegs down. It's just the way it is. Like that. I don't know. And I'm excited for our next child. It's gonna be coming in the winter, and I'm excited to raise them right, without the bullshit and away from the bullshit as much as we can, and just heading more into that what a strange realm had said years a little while back on, I'm gonna live like a farmer in 1890. That's what I want to do, because it's just I have no interest. I have such minimal interest in the internet. It gets worse by the day. I literally just look at RFTK Ohio. It's just, who else is saying anything? Tell me. Like above is below. She does the Met Gala shit. I'm like, what are you doing? She talks about the dark stuff all the time. She doesn't talk about Christ enough. Doesn't talk about, the personal anecdotes. Like I need that. That's what's important to me, is when I can tell somebody's a real person and they're talking into their phone and there's minimal production. Like that is just so important to me. Uh, I just don't like, so many people are just fake. They're fake, and I can't. The older I get, the easier it is for me to see that stuff. And yeah, just call them out for it and stand up for the truth and be quick about it. Like not say lightning, but be right there. Like don't let a hiccup happen. Be right on it and let them feel your conviction, because they need to. You can't be wishy-washy. No more wishy-washy. We've got to be firm in our denial of vaccinations, in our denial of the planet, in our denial of the news, in our denial of the virus and all this just fake stuff. At present, I don't believe in any viruses. None. I think the virus term is just made to mess with you. I think bacterial. I think I don't believe in any viruses. I just don't. I think that's a big hoax that they've put on us. I could be wrong. Very well could be wrong. But so many of them are fake that it's easy for me to be like, well, they're all fake. They just like they feed you so much bullshit. And I think the truth is so simple. It's like you're a mammal and we create all this complex nonsense just because. And it's really not that complicated. I think of like so many iterations of like shamans or like medicine people, and it's just like you just needed an herb. You just needed, you know, more sunshine and healthier food. You know, it's like you were sitting in an office. That's why you had hell. You're sitting in a artificial environment for decades on end because it made you fake money and fake land. Like it gets to that point. Like I'm sorry. Like I feel bad for people that have to work inside. I really do. It's just where I'm at. I don't know how you do it. I really don't get it. If you're a mammal, you need a lot of outside time. You need to be outside. You know, I look at prairie dogs. Prairie dogs, they will take shade in the hot, and then when it's not too hot and it's nice, they'll be right outside. And they're very, it's like any animal that's way more intelligent than us because they're actually living off the earth and not in this convoluted fake society. Pay attention to them, what they do. Maybe you should live more like them because they're highly intelligent, and we don't give them enough credit. And we like to people. I think it's a whole tranny lie. It's their biggest lie. One of their biggest lies is to damn animals and make people seem like we're so great. When we can be like Jesus, but a lot of us aren't. I'm not. I have a lot of work to do, to heal people and to be a better communicator. And I know that animals are a big, like, better relationships with fellow animals is a big part of my healing. I know it for a fact. So feel free to disagree with me. Feel free to go full Bible and just be like a humanist person who's just like people, people, people. But I know in my heart of hearts, it's just wrong. And it's how I feel. And yeah, I feel like if we're living in harmony with animals, then oh boy, they're going to be helping us out and we're going to be helping them out. And it's going to be beautiful. But we don't even know what that is because of the Orange Club and all of the heinous lies that they spew on us. So don't allow them to do it anymore. Stick up for the truth.